No music.
Ladies and gentlemen, we want to say welcome to everybody, and we want to establish the fact that we are having some other engagement that is best within our personal interests because in life, at the same time, you got to keep yourself surviving, taking care of your domestic responsibility. And so the need to be on a job has taken this entire process of keeping our voices heard on the global platform, you know, to be timely as we always expect it. So sometimes we will have to adjust an hour because of some of the job schedule. We all have gone back to work now after the COVID lockdown. And so we are currently busy with work, school, family. And so some of these things will allow some adjustment in the time. But we want to say thank you for tuning in to our program this evening, our conversation, me and Mr. Gray. And Mr. Gray, I want to say welcome to the show and thanks for your commitment to the process.
So Jala, it's always a pleasure to talk about Mama Liberia and to also seeing how we can help better the livability or the conditions of our country through our own contributions. And this is just one of the many that we do to help impact the lives of our people back home. So thank you. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. Uh, Today conversation, I think there's something I wanted us to talk about. Can you hear me, Mr. Gray?
Yes, you're very loud and clear.
Yeah. There's something I wanted us, our topic point specifically to, uh, because our government has um, always made the people to understand our government is the current government regime was elected on the basis of the people interest and is a so-called pro-poor agenda. It's a so-called the pro-poor agenda. So when an agenda is pro-poor, that agenda will consider the plight and interest of the poor before taking any action. And from all indication, from what we see here, is that our people are complaining and they are becoming a victim of their own government action. This should not be the case. This shouldn't be the case. And no well-meaning Liberian should sit and say, "Oh, development is good, it's painful. Development is good, it's painful." No, 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 no. It should not be at the cost of generation. It should not be at the cost of the lives of other people, families. You understand? The very first thing any government will understand is life, life, life. Before all that infrastructure, you must be able to invest in the lives of the people. It is the people that will drive the development, infrastructure development agenda. If they are the one who are empowered economically, if they are the one who are able to mobilize domestic resources and make them, you as a government should be thinking how to preserve the people goods and services so that it will be of long-term use. in various seasons and times to make them industrial. Instead of you doing that, you want to follow these cosmetic developmental agenda that have been coming for decades. They're seeing socialist idea. The socialist ideas that was hiding behind the progressive mentality that stood against the True We Party. It's still creeping in our governance system. This is wrong, Mr. Gray. This is wrong. We need to look at the interests of people, and it should be the basis of our policy direction. Whatever thing we do, the interest of the people. Now, look at what happened to the railway market. And let nobody think that prefer development, or we against development, or whatever infrastructure development you're talking about. But what use is an infrastructure development when the people of the country are living in abject poverty and dying from their own starvation?
Mr. Jala. Mr. Jala, can you hear
What
me?
is the use of it?
I've always said this, Mr. Jala. I've always said this. There are countries who embark, especially there are a few African countries who embark on infrastructure development as uh, a recipe for prosperity. And
Mr. Gray, are you
when the
there?
yeah, can you hear me, Mr. Jala? 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 Can you hear me?
Uh,
Mr. Jala is not hearing me. I don't
I'm
know.
hearing you on the phone, but I'm not hearing you on my laptop.
Oh, okay. I don't know why. But what I was saying was that there are a
Okay,
lot of
now,
countries.
now I can hear you now.
Yeah,
Go
you
ahead.
said that. I'm sorry for interrupting, but there are a lot of African countries who tend to see infrastructure development as a means to prosperity. And for me, I I tend to disagree with that to some extent because I remember going to Guinea Creek, right? And I saw glass buildings. I saw infrastructures in terms of architectural design. I saw these infrastructural buildings, and I having to visit some of the ministers in the buildings, right, Mr. Jala? But you know what? I
Mm-hmm.
also saw in the midst of that, those infrastructures, those well-designed architectural design buildings we're going to, I saw
Mm-hmm.
a lot of ordinary citizens standing in front of the building or selling in front of the building. So while it is true that they had the glass building, right, as a prototype of development, because the
Mm-hmm.
demands of the people was not developed, these very same people now were able to come in front of the building, put down that market ground, their sheep and their goats to sell. You understand? Because they
Mm-hmm.
did not value the infrastructure because they don't have the necessary capacity to understand what it intends. The man is concerned about feeding himself and his family. You understand? Like we have always said, infrastructure is a good thing, but it's always good to invest into the capacity of the individual so that they will understand exactly what the infrastructure means to them. Instead of having the
Mm-hmm.
infrastructure and force the individual to understand what it means to him. So we are not against infrastructure development. What we are against is we say, hey, let the investment be into the capacity of the individual first. Invest into the individual capacity first. And then the individual now will contribute towards infrastructure development. That is why we just have a different way of doing this. And I said this to you. You were saying something about the red leg marketeers out there and those in Kakatan. I was fortunate to watch the video, and it really broke my heart, Mr. Jala. I'm gonna say this to you. It really, really broke my heart. That people who are selling day in, day out to provide meal for them family, to pay their children tuition, to send their kids to nearby clinics. Because none of these social services are free. These people were being forced out of the street to the market ground. And when I saw that, I really wasn't against it at first. Until the marketers now started to talk, and one of the ladies said something that really touched me, Mr. Jala. And this is what I want to emphasize on. She said they stole their goods overnight. Where they normally keep their goods to sell, she said their goods were stolen overnight. And then the journalist asked the lady, he said, but all right, so who's responsible? She said, oh, the person who keep the goods and blah, blah, blah. But the journalist went as far as asking this lady, he said, but why is it that you guys don't want to go to the market ground? This is what touched Mr. Jara. She said, she said to him, she said, the market ground they build, the table that they assign to each person is very small. And they are asking them to pay $4,000, $3,000 to $4,000 to be able to get that little ground to put a little market there. So she said, if I have to stay in the market, it means I need 4 tables, at least 4 tables, to put my goods on to sell, to make something to eat. Now, if I'm paying $4,000 per table, times 4 tables that I need, if I pay that through the marketing association, how much will I have in return to feed my family, to send my kids to school? That was the thing that struck me. I'm thinking that the market, the ground, the tables were free. Looking at the conditions of our country right now, I was thinking that was going to be something free, but now they are charging these women, the marketers, to pay. That was really heartbroken to me. I think that has to be rescinded, especially looking at the tough economic crisis we are going through right now as a people. Mr. Jala.
No, Mr. Gray, I can tell you that our people are always the victims. And at the end of the day, I don't know what can be the result of their own. I don't know what our people are, so to speak, certified with who they are. Because if you know what you want to be in life, you'll never be certified with who you are. If a country has a vision of what it want to gravitate in, look at Manaseri had a set of vision for 2024 or 2030 or 2024, right? No, Chancellor on 2024. Yeah. Look at Chancellor 2024 vision where the country is in the dump. No, we're not even reached 2024, 2023. After George Weah, President George Weah, so to speak. But the point I'm trying to make is, where are we heading as a nation? What is the vision? What is the dream? What is there that we can start working towards, that even if we don't end it, our children can come and see this is where they wanted the country to go? Mr. Gray, I don't think Liberians are learning, because for our history, people lost their life for the freedom we have. People lost their life, families. And then we putting our country on the right trajectory of play toy. For our generation that's supposed to make the right decision. A generation that has everything to its disposal. Information, communication. We could do anything to change it. And I'm telling you, I'm going to begin listening with some permanent Liberian, writing down to let them know that, look, gentlemen, you guys get an influence. If each Liberian can give $1 US for us to build a hospital, a diaspora Liberian hospital, That will be one of the best in the sub region. We can fund it. The number of Liberians. Let the people see that the money going. That major all the Liberians are living in Ezra that can capable can work. If you can give $1 to build a multi-state of the art medical center in that country that will pay doctor and cater to the needs of our people. We can do that. Only if we don't want nobody to take the glory, but only our diaspora community can take the glory of that as a community. And we all can be a proud of, we all can have a medal for, we all can know that that is our work. You get the point? But we're talking about doing something that will impact the lives of our people directly.
I
What the
agree.
need is stretch. What is the need of taking the people from the market at this point when the economy is crashing, when inflation is at 30%, when the buyer are more than the seller? What the need of taking the people at this point? Okay, we say you got the government need to have a will. Only on the poor people you can have the will on. Let the Congo people in are paying all their building work up, mama point living in America here, taking rent and not doing anything. The people who get a country that children suffering. You just want to go take the property from there and improve the life of the people. Those are decision will back.
No, I agree. I agree. I think the
When you
timing.
leave there, you go to our poor people who already have been suppressed for decades. Their fathers were suppressed that lead to their poverty. Instead of you thinking on how to get them out of entrenched poverty, you keep to perpetuate your own people into poverty. And you call that development. Development my fault. What you call development? Development when the people go to bed with all full? What a use of development? Then you telling the people say, don't put that in the street, in a dumper. When you can't even provide services for the people, to give them dumpster to their homes, to make it easy for them, for you to have your city government having the debt accessible to take from their home. Because even in America here, the people can put it there, they get it clear, you bring it there, they don't stop people take it by law. So you don't, they give you all the means to not throw it there in the street. But the people have to cater for their own
Garbage
sanitation,
disposal.
garbage
Right.
disposal. Then at the same time, they see you living the best of life, riding the most expensive cars. You understand? Those same people then you tell them say, "Oh, do the right thing." You're not doing the right thing. You
Yeah,
want
Mr.
them to do
Jada,
the right thing? You're
I'm
leading
just
your
gonna.
angry people. You're leading your envious group of people. You're leading your people who want for everything to. The only thing the Liberian people are further, let me tell you now, is because they have seen so many danger, and they're not willing to go to it now because they did not even get anything from other aid in the first place.
Absolutely.
That was a senseless journey of waste, of blood,
And
properties,
destruction of property.
and
Yeah.
destruction of everything for no reason that nobody want anything other.
Absolutely. Some of us, some of us were victim of years was stolen of us. Years was stolen from our childhood and everything. But the reality is, I just think the timing is wrong. You know, sometimes in life, uh, there are things that could be right, but the time it is done in could be wrong. You know what I'm saying,
Mhm.
Mr. Jada? With the economic crisis and the pandemic that is hovering more than the buyers. So that make it even difficult. More than the buyers, I can tell you that that policy is not timely. It is just entrenching more hardship upon our people. It is putting our people in a position to make them overly gullible. I will tell you that. Especially with few years to election, especially with 3 years to election, this is something that is going to have a triple down effect, and it will give those same guys, those very guys, the upper edge to use few dollars to get our people re-electing them to offices. This is wrong, and it has to stop. It has to stop. Why will you put people in a position that they cannot feed themselves and that family they cannot pay their children tuitions? Why would you want to do that? There's no government in the world who want to do that, especially if you are a democratic nation. You're a democratic government. It is your responsibility and obligation to take care of your people. How is this policy taking care of your people? How can you justify that this policy to get the people from the street into the market building, and then they have to pay for a small table in the amount of $4,000? How is this policy justifying that you are in the interest of the people? You know, sometimes we craft policies and we don't look at the nitty-gritty of the policy we are crafting. We got people who just learn things theoretically. And not because other nations have a marketplace that people sell in the marketplace means that it might suit you at a particular point in time that you have to do it. It might be ready to do, but the timing and everything matters a whole lot, Mr. Jala.
Mm-hmm.
It matters a whole lot. So you can't force that in these times. These are difficult and trial times for the entire world, Mr.
Mm-hmm.
We have a new very so Jala, you hear me?
Yeah, I'm just getting you now.
Yeah, I don't think the policy is timely. It is just causing more hurt, more harm to the people who voted our government to take care of them. This is a poor government as it's being classified. How is hastily moving people from the street during these crises justifying the poor agenda? The very people that you say your agenda is from around are the very same people you are hampering. Are the very same people you are having to be displaced. Are the very same people that don't have meal to eat. They don't have their goods. Their goods are being stolen only because they're being coerced to go to the market ground. And I tell you this for sure, Mr. Jala. A lot of these people do not have the resources to pay for tables. $4,000. They don't have that. If the man is only or the woman is only concerned about the take home that would cause her to buy a food to put on her table, how is she going to pay for a table spot when you have few buyers? How is she going to do
Mr.
that?
Gray, Mr.
And a
Gray,
couple,
you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised to know
go
that
ahead, Mr.
some of the
Jala.
market women. You'll be surprised to know that some of the market women at how they call it, the the Kakata market, that their market was demolished. Okay, let me just tell you about the Omega first. So the Omega market took the people from the real land market, a market that is over 40 years old, that has been entrenched in the community. It like taking an old lady from where she's noted for to a new place. Are you getting what I'm saying? Now, Mr. Gray, let's just look at this thing. Our leaders don't think in the interest of people. They think our people are obligated to the way they think. If they feel like it's our people way, it's our people duty to live by their feeding. And this is completely an irony because the people are the employer in democracy where people have the right to decide who and by whom they should be governed. That's what democracy says. For me, I am a revolutionary conservative Democrat. And not just a Democrat or a socialist Democrat. I'm a revolutionary conservative Democrat. So I still got the understanding that there are certain things you can't change. They were only made for you to use it as it is. You only change what is in your purview to change. So I got that mindset. So the other people say no. They get the socialist Democrat who will say the people, anybody must decide. Lead the person that it must just be about the person. Person must decide what they want. Yeah. I know everybody should decide in a democracy, but not everything you can decide on. Something has already been decided. So
Absolutely.
you don't have authority over that. And so I hold those conservative values. Now, looking at Liberia's situation, I want change. But we want change that will reflect not only in policy, but in tangible results on the lives of the people. This is the kind of change we're talking about. We're talking about a democracy. And, America is the example of true democracy because here the people drive the agenda. They're not you in leadership. So when you are going for debate, when you say you want to run, you got to come in with tangible policies. But it's sometimes good that we talk about the gullibility of our people. Sometimes it's good to, educated society or educated citizenry or a country that got like 70% education. None of us will get just 25%. Very low below the belt. Our society is very gullible. People can be lied to over and over and over and over, and because of greed and hunger, the gap between there can cause them to sell their future all the time, all the time, all the time. And sometimes for someone who think from people's perspective, from the social angle, the way other people think, why they do what they do, we understand that our people, because of survivability, they compromise their future and their destiny, and they follow their children. But we believe that in this day and age, in this generation, we shouldn't be having a government that's still treading on the same rhetoric and political charade of past regime that have led our country 174 years with no progress. Everything they always talk about is infrastructure development. What is the use of infrastructure development when the lives of the very people? Because Liberia is just like other people. What good is Liberia with all the people that are living there? If you can't think about their life, if you can't think about their well-being as a government, I was telling you, Mr. Pri, I said, look, this is not about everybody want to be in government, not government. No. We don't have interest in government. And we had a conversation before, Mr. Pri, that look, we're not going to go back to go be begging for government job like where other people who come here,
No.
they get a master degree, then they were in nursing school, they were doing their master. As soon as nursing school said they were working in a group home. As soon as they do their master, they were studying. As soon as they get master degree conferred on, and they ain't got no practical knowledge of what they learned to give them that level of competence. All
Right.
they want to do now, they want to go be minister in Liberia.
Yeah,
And
we
booga
see that
booga
on too
booga
many
booga.
occasions. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
so they
see that
want
on
to
too many
go
occasions.
and perpetuate the same poverty on our people. On ground that low the other people did it, we should do it. What are you living for? What is your life worth? What is your life worth? What can you learn from the mistakes of other people? That's why I posted on Facebook a few days. I said, look, for me, I'm just cool. I'm just cool. God is just training me, Mr. Gray, with a lot of understanding of how life goes in our little zone, But for us to have the opportunity to talk to our brothers and sisters, that will have the opportunity to listen to us now and afterward.
Mm,
The truth is, we need as Liberians to look at one another as valuable assets. Indeed,
mm,
we are. No one single Liberian is useless in my mind.
mm,
So if I look at the video of those women who calling themselves the husband and the wife of the home, they are the one you took from the regular market, from the market in Kakata, and you carry the people to Omega Market, Mr. Gray. Can you imagine the basic things that a market supposed to have before the people move there? We're not even there. We have seen so many videos of water overflowing. The
mm.
drainages are all black. The people don't have a good bathroom facility. They don't have. You need to obey that place very well because that place is a very big space. You need to have gymnasium for the people. You need to have cafeteria for them. You make the place like when you come to some of the Walmart area there, they prepare areas around the area that when you come as a market person, you get school there for your children. You get playground there for your children. You know, for the third world country level, you can release the marketeers some of the basic breeding. Since some of them are husband and wife in their home because of the unemployment of their husbands. Their men are not getting nothing, some of them teaching in schools. The economy is bad. Why can't you think in the interest of the people? You think because you are in a position today to be a leader, it means it give you right to all the resources? Why can't you think about others? Those who fail to think about others, what can they do with the money? At the end of the day, they get in the money, they spend it right back on court litigation. They spend it right back on trouble. They spend it right back on disasters. They spend it right back on burying their family member. Why? Because if you don't look at the needs of the needy, God will find a way to get it from out of your hand. You don't deserve it. And you get it from out of your hand with tears. That's why tears don't move from around them. Because they treat the poor people bad. The Bible said it. I'm a male fit. The Bible said it. The way you treat the poor people in Proverbs. If over the verb, poor people. How do you feel? Because you privilege? And some people that want to see people going to take other people's life beside the other tribe in Liberia who were so brave. That tribal war. I told you that the danger of tribal war, we discussed it one. The tribal war that make Liberians. In fact, from the day they came trouble in our country, and the soldiers saw blood from that day, Mr. Gray, it was very easy for them to kill now because they felt that the late President Doe at that time, he was exposed to the training that you can kill and legitimize. Your killing will be legitimized. They never knew that we're going to a generation where we can hold people accountable for one life they take because nobody got the right
Absolutely.
to take another person's life. If you get one, even your government not got the right to take anybody's life. No,
Absolutely.
nobody. So when they had an understanding that
Even
they could legitimize killing, that's what brought all the crisis. And when you take one person's blood, it will lead to another person's blood.
I need another. Yeah.
And you killing, other people will want to stop you from killing, they will start killing. And that vicious cycle keep going, and more life keep going, and more life keep going. Our people has not learned from the mistakes of past. and to come back and still be treading in the same direction, continue to perpetuate poverty on our people. But now, we believe there would have been grassroots action that will reflect national will that will drive the proper agenda. We don't want government job. Let's be frank. We want to help. Some are look, Mr. Green. Let me just say this to you. I was listening to the ministers, uh, yeah, who the minister of state for presidential affairs and the minister of justice, the minister of finance, the minister of public works, and I think the minister of labor was in Ganta Nima County trying to meet out with the citizens and address some of the issues in their areas as minister, because they understand that Overa ministry is supposed to make sure the area of their supervision that affect the society or the community, they should be able to understand and see what difference it's making. And that's a good, you know, idea the president came up with to let them to go out to see what impact they are making. But I tell you for free, it made me understand that these guys who are currently running the country don't understand the terrain they want to lead in. And it makes no sense. It shows that it's because of personal interest and personal agenda you took public service. It's not because you want to make any difference in the life of people. Because when I listen to the Minister of Finance, you justifying the region of inflation and say some people don't understand economy. His own Justice Minister in his response said, and I got a video. He said, even if you're not an economy, you don't need to be an economy to know that if you're not working or your budget is low, if you used to eat $10 today, you reduce it to $5. You adjust because your income is low. When income drop, spending must reduce. Income can be low and spending high. The deficit is going in. It makes it as simple, common sense, simple. We don't have to go to Harvard to get a common understanding of the fact. You have a finance minister there talking 30% inflation, and the reason why inflation is 30% is because there are a lot of sectors and that have withdrawn from the economy. He's trying to get reason that the previous government had a whole lot of money in the economy from the security sector, the oil mill, and from other bilateral and government. So the economy was very, very lucrative. So that was their budget line, because they got some revenue that can be deferred. They can budget for, in the budget that they expect for it to come, but it will come over the period as the due dates unfolds. You understand what I'm saying? From the taxation point of view. So, but they were appropriate for these income flows. So they say when all those NGO and all those support on me, everything withdraw, what they have now is just they just operating in their small space. But if you're operating in a
Okay.
small space, you getting the point?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what they have now, they're just operating in a small space. Now, if you operating in your small space as an economist, the essence of economy is for you to maximize the more out of the minimum, get more out of the minimum, make the most out of the minimum you have. That economy there. Economy want to get the best out of little. So at this point, as a sound economy, that's the first mindset you're supposed to have. That my economic agenda, my economic policy should be now driven towards getting more out of the small resources I have. And how can I do that? which part of the sector can I focus on? How can I make sure that I make the most out of the little I have? That's the way a sound economy is supposed to think. Now, you know what his suggestions are? I can get a feeling from the plug and play. The main suggestions is that the economy they want to bring boss from India because they believe that the local bus owners or transport owners are raising the prices of transportations on the people, and the people are not moving. And but you said social distancing, the prices are still high. The man can report his money. You think the prices will the men transportation price will be low? The end user will be the one who will bear the full
But,
weight.
but Mr. Jada, here is a problem. You see, when we coming up with these policies, right? The emergency, we don't look at the economic impact. That's what it tells me from what you just explained. Because when you're talking about social distancing, you gotta understand that it's gonna have a replica effect on the economy.
Yeah,
That is why we're saying the policy decision to move the people at this time from the common era of selling to the market grant, the timing is wrong.
it's wrong.
It's just
It's wrong. That's what I'm
100%
saying.
wrong.
But I just trying to bring some of those failures of past because we're trying to be people who will not just this is a conversation for us to see how the government can see our own perspective of what we think it should be like, and they can look through it too. If some of them watch these videos, they can try to understand through our mindset and see what sense it made and what result it has to offer for the country. Because at the end of it all, what matter is whatever we do here, the people will do it for, whether it benefit them or not.
Very good. And that's the question. That's the question. Do moving the ordinary citizens from the street to the market ground is it benefiting them? Now these women are saying they have lost their goods. They have lost their goods. They don't have their goods. They don't even know where to start from. So now they are saying they're going to protest. They're going to block the street because they don't have their goods. How are they going to buy food? How are they going to sell and buy food to eat or take care of their children? You understand? So now we see the replicate effect of what it did to these women who are considering themselves to be the father of the household and the mother because the father probably is not even having a job to work and so forth. So this is a proper government, and it could be any government. Any government doing this, it is dead wrong. Now, look at the proper government agenda. Like I said again, how is this promoting or how is this helping the people for which you set your agenda for? That's the question. The people now are crying. So how are you helping them? You're not helping them. You are making them more gullible. You are making them more gullible. Only
Mhm.
because they're trying to stand on their own feet to feed themselves. If you want to help them, if you think that their safety matters a whole lot, how about providing or those necessary equipments that need to be in the hospital? How about making these things much more feasible for the Liberians people? You concerned about them. These people being out there for the longest. And I'm not saying that they can't move to the market ground. But look at the conditions right now. Look at the economic condition right now. Look at the crisis in the midst of the pandemic. Why you want to do this now? Why? How is that benefiting you? The only benefit I see in this thing, which is called, is also taking away from the Liberian people, is that you're charging them X amount of dollars, maybe to pay maybe a marketing association fees in the amount of $4,000 that you're charging them. That's the only thing. So you are taking from them. You are taking from them. And the government is not always about, it's not about always taking from people. It's about how can you improve the lives of the ordinary Liberian? How can you improve their lives? Why is it that they couldn't go to the market ground saying, hey, for the next 3 months, since we're in the crisis or up to the end of the crisis, we will not be charging any association fees. Right? It's possible we could do that. It's a crisis. It's a crisis. That's how you want to encourage people to go to the market ground, especially in the midst of the crisis. But you're forcing them there, and then you're adding fees. Mr. Jada, let me ask you, do you know what $3,000 or $4,000 can do for a family that live on $1 per day, that's a lot of money.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's a lot of money. $4,000 for a small table that cannot take out of the goose of this lady or the goose of the marketer. A small table that need four. So if the person need four, like I said earlier on, that means you are charging them $8,000 for four small tables. Now, if I pay that amount, and now the buyer are limited, the buyers are small, have reducing number. There are more sellers now, Mr. Jala. You call me? There are more sellers than buyers. Because everybody
Mm-hmm.
want to find ways to get something to make some more money to eat. There are more sellers than buyers. People are making their own garden now. They are living on subsistence farming.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So they are making their own gardens around the house so that they don't be able to go to the market. Because the cost of goods in the market is on the rise too as well. So you don't understand that if you increase the association fee to $4,000, these marketers are going to have to add that into the cost of the product. And then it will be passed on to the end user. So how are you helping your people? We are saying this is not rational. This is not rational, actually. Mr. Jala?
Absolutely, Mr. Gray. And every time I see the poor people keep crying, sharing tears about the people, when you see their faces, you can see that they are not even healthy. Because I understand how the situation is like back home when you have to just live for food every day. You have to just go to do what you're doing so you'll be able to buy food to eat the next day. If you don't go to do what you're doing, you'll not eat. You know, that kind of life where people just living for food, so you are only alive because you need to eat, but you got no reason for living. You got nothing to contribute. And these are people who can do beyond just food. Food should be the least thing our people should be living for. Food should be the least thing our people should be living for. That's why when they vote for leaders and governments, that the people gonna take their lives. When somebody say, "Oh, your vote is your future," it's because you want to take for somebody to take your life above just for looking for food to a place where your life can be not only meaningful to yourself, but to you and your kids. But to you and your kids. You see? But to some extent, our people in leadership believe that when they become president of a country, it means they own the country. It means the country is their personal property. Look, my man, that's the least thing. If anybody want to go into public service because they want to gain more for themselves, my brother, you just suffering yourself because you're not going nowhere with those wealth. You're not going nowhere. You're not going nowhere. I can say this with facts because I have seen that with time and time and time. When the war came, I was 12 years old. I saw people shot on the ground. People brought guns to our head. Haven't we learned from the past? The same Omega that they carry in the poor to today. We went to that place during the war. People were killed only because other people wanted to retaliate for no reason. For no reason. Because when I say no reason, it's because why would somebody think in their mind, in a reasonable mind? Why would somebody think in a reasonable mind that because somebody speak a trap, or because somebody was born into a trap, or somebody was born as a Maningo man, born as a Gio man, it's a crime. The person has committed a crime to be born in a trap. Who decide what kind of tribe they should be born in? Who decide what parent they should come from? How can a reasonable mind sit down and think that way? That you take somebody's life because they are part of a tribe? Where that other thinking came from? Liberians have not learned from stupidity in leadership and wherever. And Mr. Gray, some of us, I tell you for free, we not going to be the kind of Liberian that will be, oh, government job, government job, government job. We will do what we can do here to talk to our brothers and sisters in a unified way for us to be of help. If other all can get something to show for contributing to something tangible in our country, I'm willing to be a part of it. But most of all in the diaspora, we have to rise up to reach out to people who can help our people. We can't depend on our government to help our people. Because the people that always come to power in our country, they always take advantage of the gullibility of our people. Because our people are not sophisticated to the level to understand that you need to look at the character of these individuals who keep coming for power. Who are they? What are their background? What are their upbringing? What are their police report? How have they been coming out in the community, in school? What's their records? How they live everywhere they went? Intelligence on people, their psychology, the way they think, the things they did, so we can make decisions on them. But we just see people because they come or they get money or they drive a new car or they came from America, bloop, who can even make the difference around, or we're not even looking at them. Looking at the people who will get a BB name. The BB name with no character. And the truth is, power bring out what you got in you. Power is the one that amplifies the character of the leader. Power. Because when you give a leader power, what happens is that power has a propensity to amplify, to align, to make big whatever character that is deposited in a leader. Because the leader get extraordinary leverage. He is a supreme head of the country. He decides who live or who die. So if he was an immoral leader, immorality will be legitimized. So he's the only one that legitimizes anything in the country. If the leader is a leader that is self-centered, that is selfish, that is greedy, that is materialistic, that want to show that he has more than others, this leader, power, will put so many resources at your disposal to the extent that you show yourself. If a leader is a blood-tested demon, mentally deranged, who wants another people's blood to be spilled for him to be happy, but you gave him power, he will have to kill somebody. Power will push him to do that. That's what power does. That's why before you give somebody power, you understand the character behind the human being. The character. Who is behind this body? Who is inside the body? Not everybody you see looking fine, you think say the spirit that inside has only spirit. The character behind the structure that's staying for you, because it can damage any time. But there's a character inside that God himself will hold accountable. Because that character is from somewhere, and that place from it will go get accounted. So what some of us trying to say is, we need to be leaders of morality. Moralities. Leaders who want to make an indelible mark on lives.
I agree, Mr. Jala.
Not just
I,
leaders who want to make big names and gain all the thing away you carrying it. You are just one dead body. One dead body. You will drop on the ground and you will be there. All your property will not remember you.
yeah.
Like
You see,
people will remember you.
and that's what
And they will
that's
only
the
remember
mistake.
you for the impact you made on their lives,
That's the
whether
mistake. A lot of
positive or
leaders.
negative.
That's the mistake. A lot of leaders make, Mr. Jada. They don't. They think that people will remember them for the statue they put up, or for the buildings and for the road. No, people remember for how you impact their lives, how you make their lives better. How is moving people to the market ground making their life better, especially during this pandemic? When you got all the women crying over their goods being missing. Where they getting money from to buy new goods, Mr. Jada?
Mm-hmm.
How? Where they getting money from? The government not subsidizing them. So that's how upset the women are to say, hey, we'll protest, we'll keep protesting until they can give our goods. You have some criminals in the midst of these individuals who are taking advantage of the situation, Mr. Jala.
Mm-hmm.
And we gotta understand, Mr. We all need to understand the president need to pay attention to this, that they are criminals. So sometimes even when you have a policy, you got for policy, you gotta be very careful how the criminals within the group will react to your policy. You know the story very well about Haman in the Bible, right, Mr. Jada? Haman convinced the king to pass a law that will lead to the annihilation of the Jewish people. Only because of one
Mm-hmm.
man.
Mm-hmm.
You know that story very well.
Yeah,
So
Esther
that
had to intervene. Yeah.
Esther had to intervene. He hated Mordecai so much. And he said, I will destroy the entire family, the Jewish people. So there are individuals in the midst of leadership. They come up with the kind of thing. They're not thinking that this is affecting the lives of the people. They don't care. They don't care because they drive the nice car, they drive $50,000 car, then they sleep on the electricity 24/7 and on their people sleep with lantern. They don't care. These are the people who send our kids overseas. They pay thousands of dollars for tuitions. While our brother and sister are staying over there, cannot afford their own tuitions. They go to schools that is not even updated in terms of the books and all that kind of stuff. They don't care.
Mm-hmm.
These are the people who are flying to neighboring countries for medical treatments, spending thousands of dollars to do medical checkups and all that kind of stuff. Our people cannot even afford the $50 or $60 to go do a medical checkup to a nearby clinic. They don't care. They don't care. So we are seeing time in, time out. And we are bold enough not to say, if you love our people, then you listening to the plight of the Liberian people. You listening to the plight of the Liberian people. And these are the people who are going through these excruciating difficulties. They are going through the difficult times, Mr. Yala.
Mm-hmm.
Times, even in first world country like America, times are even harder. So now think about third world country. Think about third world country. It's worse. It's worse. But yet and still, we have to collect taxes from the people. And I understand that part. But like you said, if the finance minister is saying that our space now is small, economically it means your spending should be small. Your spending should confine within your small space, Mr. Jala.
Yeah. Yeah. And you should be looking for ways to maximize your intake, your revenue, and reduce your spending. You understand? So that means you'll be creating more innovative opportunity that will drive economic activity. So that way you need to be attracting your Liberian, working with the Liberian diaspora, bringing talents into the country. Look for something as a country to be identified by in the sub-region in the world. Okay, Liberian will sell footballer off. We will train some of the best footballers in the country and sell them for millions of dollars to the other country. They go and play there. They pay royalty to the country. They pay, you build a multi-purpose economy and make sure you breed talented footballers in the country. You pay them and sell them to the world. And they play for the country. And Cameroon used to do the thing, bring a lot of income to Cameroon. Even Brazil today. The more footballer you get out of the country, the more money it brings to the country.
I'll be honest with
Or
you, Mr. Jada. I'll be honest with you. We having, we have we. I don't like us to look at just football. Football. I understand your concept of trying to be more, have like concept as a country, as a nation, which is a great thing. But like you said, you gave an example of a soccer player, whatever the case might be. There are a lot of other people in that country with great talents. The thing is, we just blind our eyes to just soccer. You understand, Mr. Jara? There are a lot of other areas that we need to explore. Maybe it might be more marketable. We need to explore the areas. We don't need to just rely on people paying taxes. It's not
yeah,
enough.
that's when I was in the Ministry of when the LRA, Liberian Revenue Authority, and just to take a little bit dive out of discussing the marketing apply, because the marketing apply we are looking at is if you build a market in a way that you will bring the market to the people, and even make it more convenient, because the people are in that area, even though they may not have the best of toilet there, even though the place was dirty, but that their own dirty were creating and they were living inside. They were not complaining. They were living there. They used to go to do their market there. So if you want to help them find a way to improve the condition they were in, then to make it worse. You can't say you're taking the people or you carrying them to another location. Number one, the first thing you're doing is that you're breaking you breaking the chain of their customer suppliers. So you also have to relocate your customer with them. Because the convenience of the customer going to not see them that day, some of their customer will start looking at other alternatives. Because they will see the demonstration of change and the uncertainty that lies in it. They start taking other conditions. So that shift in the market will affect some of those traders' customers, and it will affect their income as well. You did not factor that in your decision as an economist, so-called economist, before taking demolition or exercise or action against the people. You did not factor that. What we think as a sound economy you would have done is a factor of bit and pieces that borders on the lives of the people that your policy is going to impact. Some of the bit and pieces we're talking about, number one, is that market location has been there for decades. For decades. So it means that market is a central point. That needs second change. It's a central point. It has played cardinal part in the country history. It's a landmark in the country. We don't have our geographic location into the Google map, because we don't have a good mapping system in the country up to now. But some of the place that is well known on international map is red light. Now, if you're taking the people from there, that's the first point. If you're taking the people from there, Mr. Gray, the first thing you consider is you got to consider their own customer, the main market. It's not just them. You got to move the market along with them. Now, they can compromise the fact that, okay, it will take time. We don't expect the market to come to us eventually. Government can negotiate on that with them, and they will understand. But one thing they will not understand is they will not want to go in an environment that will just be as worse as where they came from. They don't have bathroom. They have water. The sewage system is flooded.
Wow.
The table situation is complicated. The buying table, the situation is not comfortable. No playground for the kids. The warehouse is something that is still being said, but there's no evidence of one. The situation is worse. You took the people away from their market base, their customer base. Then you take them to a place that is unbearable for them to stay. Why can't you think if you were in the same condition with the people? They will go to Kakata. Kakata, the other people, you got to set a mayor with a superintendent, all from the ruling party. They ran against a lady who won the election. And the lady is the representative for the district the market is in. The lady did her best and helped the marketeer with the condition in. She's a representative. One man and rare. The lady helped the people to build the market there. Because of the envy of the lady of veteran in the election, the ruling party, superintendent, and the city mayor can go against the lady, boss the people market and say the market don't belong there, and damage the people properties. That children depending on to have bread on their table and go to school. What kind of nonsense is this? What should we have? A leadership that is always insensitive to the plight of the very people they spoke of all the time. And these people fail to know that they are no these things people did in the past, they have paid for it. You may be enjoying it for a while and think it's good.
Yeah, they will pay for it. They will pay for it.
You will pay for it. You will
Every
give your
stone.
fair share of this thing. Everything you sow in life, you will reap. If are your hand, if are your pleasure, if are your happiness, innocent babies must be born on the street. People might not be able to put bread on their table. They go to the market already in a struggling. Somebody selling meat in the market to go get food. Somebody selling plenty. You're not even thinking that, oh, how much this thing will make. Sometimes as a leader, walk in the market. See the people, what is selling to survive. I mean, someone are thinking, yeah, buy what we call the flavor cube to just give flavor to the food and salt. So that they
Yes.
don't want to get money for those things and to keep living. This is not life. A leader take over the people's life to give them hope of a future that they will not only be living because only animal can live for food. Every day animal will go, only they live for to eat.
That's it. If they get
Human
the food, they're
beings
happy.
will be living, we will be using our brain, innovation. You get people in the country that are living for food. Liberians are smart people. Liberians are brilliant people. But if you have let it live Matt Maroon said, if you have a bunch or an army of lion headed by a sheep going against an army of sheep headed by a lion, the army of sheep headed by a lion will always win the army of lion headed by sheep. Because the leadership drive everything.
Absolutely.
What I would have expected this government to do from the beginning of time, number one, is to set example on themselves and their lifestyle audit. You can't be in leadership, you do certain things. That's why I can tell people, if you're not ready to go and serve God, wait. But there are certain things you can't do when you put yourself in certain space. When you get ready, you're ready. But when you're not ready, you sit aside. So as a leader, what we expect you to do is you can't. You saw what the other past government did. The people take money, charge it up bed, wear flour. You pay the other one on Congo Town Road, they do big building when you see gigantic fence. Well, mounted with camera. When charge it up passing, bulletproof car. Where is it today? Where is he?
They cannot even maintain no buildings.
Yes. When you look at the building today, where is it? Anything you acquire at the lives of other people, my brother, it's just a matter of time. Everything will crumble. You're not going nowhere. But take my word, Mr. Gray. I'm joking. You will pay life. I told people, I just put that something on Facebook. I put that something on Facebook, Mr. Gray. And you myself discussed on small thing before way back, right? I said the thing that can make us survive in society, in everywhere we go to survive, is because our lives, we live in it like, even if nobody looking at me, let me practice doing what is right. So that will be my way of life.
That's
Because you don't know when you will forget. You be doing your
Miss
secret,
Jella.
all that thing. Nobody looking at me today. I will do it.
Jella.
Look,
That's how
yeah,
that's how I always define transparency. Transparency it's not always about people seeing you doing the right thing. Can you do the right thing when nobody's watching?
yeah,
You understand? If you can do the right thing without people watching, then you're a transparent person. But if you're only doing it because people are watching, it means there's something wrong with the picture.
yeah.
You
That
only
cosmetic
want an
thing
obligation.
where you get
Yes.
somebody want to show that, no. Are you sincere to what you want to do? Can you give up even your life for it if the need be? Those are the question. Now, when it's about your benefit, you understand your interest, only your interest, because sometimes you gotta look at interest critically, because sometimes you can be at a point where people will say, from the selfish angle, that you only looking at your personal. No, no, no. So there can be your general interest tied into personal, agenda. Like to say you want to get something for the benefit of a large group of people, not for yourself. You're in a small family. So you can that's a vision, you can guide that interest and you can front it for the good of everybody. Now, our problem in our country, we don't have a leader yet who has stand to be the hero of the Liberian people, to stand and show an example, and show an example that, look, I don't need much. I'm just one man. I can sleep on one bed. I can drive one car. I think I will live my life through a lot of people. I will leave inheritance for my children and my grandchildren. Because the Bible says a man, a wise man, a good man is the one who leaves inheritance for his children. You know, his children. That's a good man. So yes, you do this in a more in a way of wealth instead of riches, because riches is immaterial. When you do wealth, you build your family in a way where they can be able to produce perpetually that children can suffer. Generation will all be productive or productive. So that's that generational wealth, you know, you build.
Yeah.
But it's a great one to say something.
Yeah. I want to say this. Let me say this. When you were talking about that, what comes to my mind is that this is something that mostly almost everybody do, and that's how leadership is being looked at from our perspective in Liberia. You know how sometimes when you enter people's houses, right, you see they got like a cabinet full of a lot of dishes. You know what I'm saying? Plates and cups and spoons, and a whole lot. And you realize that they had to use it. I don't know whether you are paying attention to that when you visit people. They have all the things stored. And they don't. Some of y'all never even gotten in the sink to ever be washed before. It had never been used before. That's how I see our leadership is. Our leadership, they take these things. They just want more. It's that hoarding spirit. That hoarding. You know, when you're hoarding, I mean, you just feel like things gonna go out of style, so you must have everything, so that the day run short, you have everything. No, no, we don't need a leader to be thinking like that. We need a leader that will be able to share. to share the resources. That's what they call equitable distribution of the natural resources, so that everyone benefits. When you're making a decision, how are the people going to benefit? Those are the questions you want to ask. And a good policy that is written, you have to ask the question, Mr. Jada. How is it going to benefit the people? If the answer is no, it's not going to benefit the people, then it's not a good policy. But I'll say this, because we're out of time. I'll say my final statement. I'll hand it over to you. I want to say this to our leadership and even to future leaders. We got to think beyond ourselves. We got to think about the next generation. What can we do? What can we put in place that the next generation, when they come to life, they will be grateful to say, this is what the generation before us have done. And this is why, Mr. Jada, you and I will continue to take this flight. We'll continue to speak this. We will not just speak, but we'll take actions into helping to improve the lives of our people in our own way. That we believe that we do not have to be in government to help impact the lives of our people. We do not. However, if you are a public servant, you must understand that you are employed by the Liberian people. And you will be held accountable for doing the work for which you were called. And then finally, Mr. Jara, we need to change the context of what public servants is always about. It's all about, Mr. Jala. You know, public servant is about people who get elected based on their knowledge and experience, and more precise, they want to give back. They have acquired. Mr. Jara, they have acquired through their professional lives, through their private life, and they want to help. They want to give back. They want to change somebody else's life. So they say, hey, if you get me there, I don't need this. And I want to help you. I want to help this district. I want to help these people turn their lives around. But we have not defined public service like that. Public service is about people who have nothing going to power to enrich themselves. That is not what public service is all about, Mr. Chala. But again, on the issue of taking into consideration the plight of our people, we got to understand that any good policy has to ask that question. How is it considering the plight of the ordinary people? Is it timely? Is it the right time to do what we do? What's the right time to do what we do in life? The Bible said, everything happened in the fullness of time, Mr. Jala. The fullness. So we always have to ask the question, is it in the fullness of time? And like you said earlier on, Liberians are smart people. Liberians are sympathetic. That is why today we even have the crisis going on with we don't have the World Economic Chronicle in Liberia because people have saying to themselves, hey, let Bago be Bago. So Liberians are very sympathetic. So we don't want people to take that to the extent, look at their gullibility and take advantage of their kindness. Advantage because they don't want the noise. You understand? We must respect these people. We must respect the Liberian people. Liberians are our employer. Liberians are the who become the next leader of that country.
Absolutely,
So, Mr. Jan, I just
Mr.
want to add that to you.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Gray, and thanks for the opportunity once again. But I must assure you that we will play our part in this generation to meet up with some of the to make information available to our people. To those who can listen, they will listen. Those who can listen, that's it. They will continue to feed the team. We play our part. History will prove all right when these information are out at this point. What we're saying here are facts. And we're not coming to criticize one government for the mistakes that keep happening in the country. This is a national tragedy. It's just that it's unfortunate that our people can always be looking for a hero that will come and fight the devil or for the bad man and win the bad man. They try to do it through uh, civil war. No, not civil war, through coup d'etat. Because the real bad man was, this is the bad man that always in the country. The bad man is poverty. Poverty. But this bad man is fueled by something that the the ignorant enemy, the enemy that they don't know, is a creepy monster, and it's called greed. Greed. Not realizing how much you want. You sit down, you eat, your stomach gets so big in front of you. You just thinking that you're living for your stomach. Their body will decay on the ground here. What are you fighting on all that nonsense for? You don't carry their body anywhere. You know what I'm saying, Mr. Gray? You're not taking their body nowhere. So what are you so concerned about? Well, Jesus Christ told people, you concerned about the food you eat, you concerned about this. What are you concerned about? Concerned about the reason you are here. What can you do? What can you do? What are you here for? What are you supposed to be doing? Because you just here for your space, your sunrise and your sunset. That one line is your whole life. So you don't have to put much of time. Just how that line can be short on the graveyard, and how short it ain't go out. To you alone. 50, 60 years, 90 years, 100 years to you alone. It ain't long to go. So that's just a day or a minute or a second to him. But the point we're trying to make is when you know that nothing is permanent in life, no condition is permanent in life. That's why we got seasons in the whole 1 year. You can see sun shining through, or you can see it raining through, or you can see it in winter or summer through a whole year. The year got season. Life is seasonal. With that understanding, you always become generous in your good times, so that you store up enough for your bad times. But when you're greedy, you forget to invest for your bad time. You just want to eat to fill you up. How much can you take you alone? And to store does not mean the money you get in the bank. That people can survive seasons, and not material thing, not money. All the innovation that come that couple with the seasons, people producing jacket, people innovation will always survive seasons. So you invest in people, so that when that season comes and people are surviving, they will survive with you. Even if that time you are incapacitated. Invest in people. It's important that we do so in every leadership. But when our leadership is always directed towards policies that will only certify media publication, show picture of road and bridges, compare the country with Ghana. You know how much population Ghana get? Ghana population almost 30 million now. You just get 5 million population, almost everybody in poverty. You know how many millionaire Ghana get? With almost 30 million population. You know how much innovation their citizens get? You know how much industrialization the country is involving? Ghana get a middle class that is surviving. You don't have one. In Liberia, you will not get very poor and very, 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 very affluent. I can say rich people. The gap is so wide. You don't build society like that. That society, you will not get any agenda working, because when you build it, people will break it. And like I was saying, the people try war to bring about change. They saw what it caused them, what it cost life. They turn around again, they try democracy, election. The first time, it was greed that followed. They put the lie to them. They don't excuse, oh, they put top my hand, elephant on me, I can't produce, I can't do that. They brought Manaseri. Manaseri did what she can do. Corruption is systemic. Corruption is this. Corruption is a virus. So, madam, you knew that thing and you took over the country, you couldn't solve the problem. And nobody want to resolve to the bloody past. To say you're going to go start killing people for corruption and da. We know what one killing one person, but I own a killing before we're killing people for the wrong reason. Killing people for being, in a position, killing people because they're part of a tribe, they're gonna kill him for wrong reason. The person did no wrong to be part of a tribe, or to do a job for or to serve a
All right, I think we lost Mr. Jalan, but as you were saying, this is what these are the challenging times our people are going through, and this is how our people are being treated. Our people are suffering. They are preying on the gullibility of our people, and instead of our leadership helping out, they are crafting policy. Don't get me wrong, some of the policies are right, but the timely implementation of the policy is wrong, especially in the midst of the COVID-19. You are shifting a group of sellers from one location to another, and as you heard earlier on, that the locality is not as conducive compared to where they were. But the saddest part of that is that you have people who are paying close to $4,000 per table. I was told that the table size is very, very tiny. So if this woman had a bigger space before, it means she's probably gonna have to spending close to $8,000 to get the space. So how is she going to actually spend $8,000 for four small tables? On top of that, make profit from what she's selling to be able to get food or to sustain her family from that amount. I just think that is too much. Uh, it's not the right decision. It's not the right timing. And I would say this in the more calmest tone, that I believe that that policy should be rescinded, because the plan of every government is to help build up its people, to help uplift its people. And if this is not helping the people, if this is not helping to build up the people, if this is not helping a mother to put food on the table, because a lot of the women that were speaking, uh, they their goods were forcibly taken from them or stolen. Their goods were stolen according to what they said. So how are they going to do that? I have no idea. How are they going to bounce back? I have no idea. That is why they are frustrated and they say they continue to protest. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our broadcast. want to say thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And we will definitely see you the next time, same place and same time. Thank you, and God bless you.